Disassembled the four sides. Now we will want to mark out this thing called the Dado, which is a groove that our board here, the bottom board, will be able to slot into. So you'll be somewhere around here on all four sides of the plates. Dado wise, it will be about 3 mm from the bottom edge of all of them, and there will be 3 mm deep recess. So our board, let's do a measurement. It's going to be 5 mm. So we'll use the caliper, set it to 3 to scribe the lower one first. Then you just do a 3 plus 5, there will be 8. Then scribe. That's how you get the boundary line for your Dado. Tailboards, make sure the ends, or these two lines, after you scribe, goes beyond this line, which is the line where all your tails are long. Go beyond it by at least 3 mm. You can go 4, 5 or 6 mm is fine. So long it doesn't protrude from this side, it will not be visible. So you get the orientation right before you scribe the line. You'll be scribing on the inside face. Of the backboard is based off the design inner cavity when these four walls are fixed together. So we can do a check before we start in case our board is slightly oversized, and of course things will not fit. So to check, right, we will be using the scribe line on the inside here. Here's one point, the other point will be around here. So you can do a measurement of this distance. Just measure both sides. Then check for the other piece as well. So the first time you do it, both pieces may be slightly off, but they'll be very close. So just do an average. Also the same for the pin board. Just measure on both the top and the bottom side. Then check again for the other board. Get an average. If you add an additional 3 mm on each side, so 6 total, to this set of measurements, then you'll get the size of this board. So let's say if this is slightly wider than required, we may need to trim down. An additional 6 mm wider than this stuff is because we are rabbeting 3 mm into the wood. So it's going to be recessed by 3 mm on all four corners. Once this is cut, then of course you can slot it in. I'm going to start off first by doing the short side. So the short side, if you notice, it goes all the way to the end. Start first by tapping out the lines of this groove. So we want to make sure that we can see where we are melting. So now we got both lines done. Before we start to chisel out, there are a few techniques that I need to explain. So let's use the down one. So the first thing that we do is, of course, to do the usual one. At low angle, we'll go in. Once we reach a knife hole that we tap and we pry up, it will break off in a very clean manner. Then you can go with subsequent pairs to go a bit deeper. At all times when you are doing from either direction, you will not want to pry. There will be a lot of prying motion in order to break off the wood against the corners and scoop it out. So these prying motions, make sure that you do not lever against the edge of this dado, else you will dent it. And you'll do a lot of this motion where, in order to cut loose the fibers, this rolling motion, it'll be a bit easier to use the skinnier chisel, the 10mm one, because you can rotate a bit more over a smaller spot. So that can help you to loosen the fibers and scoop out the excess. So there'll be a lot of this kind of motion, and out. Now we'll start pairing. So when you're pairing, you will not want to exert full body weight against it in this direction, because when you're pairing across the grain of the wood, when it gives, it can give quite drastically in an unexpected manner.
So now we got a line. It's quite hard to see unless you got pretty good lighting. And now we can go angle slightly steeper. Same thing, pry against the line.
So the sides of the chisel, you can mark out the depth that you are aiming for. Usually if you draw a 3mm line here, it gets erased off quite quickly. The ones that you mark out the sides will hold for a while longer. The line of the chisel, the red line, should be just nice on or slightly below the surface. That's when you know you have reached the optimum depth. You can use that to check across the whole surface, and of course take out areas that are a bit taller than usual. Now you chisel on the line. The next thing you want to do is place the edge somewhere in the middle and do about 2-3 taps. So as you do your 2-3 taps, you'll angle it and your chisel will go this way. So when you're prying, do watch out for this side of the wall. So if the wall, this clearance is very little, you run a high chance of snapping it off, especially if you intend to rev it quite deep. You can start to do the other side. The other side slightly trickier. So when the lines are very faint, do check a few more times to confirm. So there's quite a bit of waste, so I'll chop off the waste first. Tap, pry, twist. When you twist, you take note of the corners. You don't want to crimp the walls on either side as well. So it's a very tight space you're operating in. Now we are twisting to loosen the fibers in the middle of the channel. So typically once you're done with both sides of the walls, the bulk is in the middle. So we just twist somewhere in the middle. You can start by leaning against the inside wall, then twist towards the middle. That'll loosen the fibers. Try to keep the walls as crisp as you can. Because walls on both sides are visible. One from the bottom, one from the inside. Now let's pry it out. Make sure you're not trying to lever with the back against this edge. Let's clean the grooves. So you can clean a groove by using the corner of the chisel. Let's drag it against. Make sure you're using the point on the inside. You're not dragging against the top edge. Then you'll be fine. So apart from melting with the flat against this wall, this way down, I can do it like this as well. So I'll face the bevel flat against the wall here and drive it down. So once I melted it down, I can wiggle outwards. Both works as well. So you can mellet this way down and wiggle outwards. First, of course, do check whether it's all at the proper depth for the whole groove on both sides. This is the amount that is going to protrude into the walls, into this rabbet that we marked out earlier with the caliper. When we slot it in, it should be right on the line like this. Then you just need to do this for all the other 3 boards. difference for this piece and the short one is this corner here. So we've got to be very careful. Once you got the issue line on both sides, to break down the middle, just poke somewhere in the middle, then twist. So as you twist, try not to pry against any of the two edges. So as you pry, you will sever and dislodge the fibers. So if you overcut the line from here to here, we only want 3 mm. If you cut like 5 or 6, it's actually still okay. Because when you fit the board on the side here, it will limit how far your board can go in this direction. Then clean up. Once done with all the 4 Dado grooves, do make sure you do a test fit on individual pieces. Make sure they can go in all the way to the line that you described earlier on. That means they are at the right depth. Then after that, you can disassemble everything again. We'll start to sand the interior surfaces before we assemble, because once it's assembled, it's quite hard to sand the insides efficiently.